Today, I'm going to be building the cheapest gaming PC I can here at our lovely sponsor Micro Center's brand new Santa Clara location. So I have 3 goals for this video. First of all, I need to build an entire gaming PC that can play games at 1080p 60 FPS. My second goal is for it to cost $600 or less. But my third one is the most important. Don't be boring. I've done a lot of builds at Micro Center, and most of the time, I'm building in a cardboard box or the cheapest possible case I can. And while $600 is still a very tight budget, it's at least enough money for me to get something that's not boring. Now, of course, this is a brand new Micro Center, so it's only fair for me to, learn the layout, explore, make sure that I'm finding all the bits and bobs. I mean, it would be silly to not thoroughly investigate a brand new Micro Center, right? Holy, they've got a whole rack? Dude, is this all Ubiquity? Oh my God, that's crazy, dude. Like, no one's rack ever looks like that. That is not this is not real. This is not-
more about the nice rack, Austin.
These are unrealistic beauty standards. This rack is absolutely unacceptable.
Stop objectifying this.
Look at how good it looks. So now it's time to get serious. With $600, I don't have to go for the absolute cheapest stuff I can get my hands on, but there's not a lot of wiggle room. And I'll tell you, 20 bucks here and 30 bucks there disappears really quick when you got this kind of budget. So my first choice, I think, is gonna be CPU. So I have both Intel and AMD options. Just looking initially at what they've got in stock, I think AMD is probably going to be the move for this build. Ooh, open box. They have a Ryzen 5 7600X open box for, was it $35 off? So instead of $170, it's $135. I would like to do that. The problem though is that doesn't come with a cooler, so I'd have to budget another 25, 30 bucks for a cooler.
Wait, but look down. You got another open box that's like $60.
Oh! Okay, so here's my choice. If this is something that you're gonna wanna use as your first system and use as the base for your next 5, 6, 7 years of builds, going with AM5 makes sense because that is a newer socket, a newer platform. You're gonna be using DDR5. You're gonna be using a lot of things which make sense going into the future. But the downside is that I'm going to be blowing essentially all of my money on that. And I would be able to buy a GPU, but I'm gonna have to buy literally the cheapest thing I can get my hands on. Or I could go with the tried and true AM4. That should still get me in I wanna say I want 200 bucks for my GPU. That feels pretty reasonable. Because I also have to consider that if you're going down my list of criteria, $600, hard cap, it has to be able to play 1080p 60, which with a processor like that, I will be able to do that. I will be able to put enough of my budget toward a GPU. But I have to have some cool factor. So I need to put some money toward a case that's not a cardboard box.
Or if they sell Labubus.
I'm not putting a Labubu on my system. That's not gonna happen. So I'm gonna lock in with this Ryzen 5 5500, specifically the open box to save myself a few dollars. I'm gonna get the cheapest AM4 motherboard and 16 gigabyte of RAM combo I can. Normally I would do a sort of bundle, but I actually think that getting the open box might be slightly cheaper than a new bundle, and I don't care that it's open box. As long as it works, it's fine. And guess what? If it doesn't work, I'm Micro Center, so it's an easy fix. And we have ourselves a very simple 512 gigabyte SSD, specifically an Inland TN320. Next task, I've freed myself up some budget for the GPU, so I've gotta make it count. So they have a decent selection of ARC cards, mostly B570s, which are really solid. I do not have $290 to spend. I could do an A380, 150 bucks is probably it. Hey, what's that? Wait, what? This is an RX 6600. It's listed at $270. Okay, I'm gonna hold on to this because I think this might be my move. I think 270 bucks, I could probably swing that because I've saved so much money on my CPU. I'm having to do so much mental math right now. Because as I lock these components in, it really sort of corners me for the rest of the build. How much, hang on, is this really 270? Oh, snap, dude. Oh, I'm totally doing this. It's not 270, it's 220 on the site. Oh, wait, that's really good. I can do this. I actually can do this. And this is a really solid card, 8 gigs of VRAM. This is, perfectly designed for 1080p. So with our main components done, I've spent just under $440. So let me grab a power supply, and I'll have like over $100 to play with when it comes to my case, when it comes to RGB, any kind of fun stuff. So the cheapest power supply, they have a 80 plus thermal take for $42, 500 watt. But to be fair, I could spend $3 more and get a 600 watt. Okay, I will say it's probably worth spending $3 more. So that is $117 to buy a case, RGB. Ooh. I have money for wood. I think I should spend my money on wood. Cases. Let me look to see if there's anything else. But I mean, come on, I gotta go with the wood, right? Okay, so the Atlas is a lot cheaper. So this is 70 bucks. We would have 3 fans as opposed to 0. It also has a nice little basement with, oh dude, I haven't seen one of these in forever. It's like a little temperature like readout screen. Okay, so I really wanna go with the wood, but if I do this, I don't have to worry about fans. I also...
It would look pretty cool with the RGB.
Yes, because I'd have like 40 something bucks to play with, so I could maybe add like an extra strip or 2. I think that's my move. Okay, after doing our mental gymnastics, this is the final cart. So I'll run you through it. We've got ourselves the Ryzen 5 5500 open box. We've got ourselves the Radeon RX 6600. We've got a 600 watt Thermaltake power supply. We've got a B550 MK board from Gigabyte, 16 gigabytes of T-Force RAM. We've got a 512 gigabyte SSD, as well as we went with the Atlas M1 case and a 204 inch RGB strip. Do I need 204 inches? No, but I never met an inch I didn't like. The bigger the better. 204 inches is the correct amount of inches of RGB in my system. Which brings me to a grand total of, I have $2 left. Right?
Labor.
Wait, let me make sure I'm doing my math right. I literally have $2 left. Well, let's build a PC, my friends. So with our $600 budget spent, well, I spent the last $2 on some important fuel. Let's start the build. Let's do this. Let's go ahead and start with our case and let's see what we're working with. Now, here's the only thing I'm slightly worried about. We're leaving the system here, so everyone's gonna know that I built it, so I don't want it to look bad. Otherwise, they'll hide it in the back, like, oh, this is Austin's system. There'll be like 3 like badass J systems, they'll be all up front. All right, let's see what we're working with here. Ooh, I think we have a fan header. Oh yeah, baby. So we have not only our RGB, but also our fan all going into one hub. Perfect, because that's one concern I had with this build. Because the board is so entry level, we don't have a lot of spare anything to work with, but I think this will work. All right. Now this should be pretty straightforward. Oh my gosh, it doesn't have the mustard cables. Oh, I thought that this had the mustard cables. It actually has some nice black sleeving.
That's some faith.
So I will say that I did already succeed in one of my criteria, which is I have spent exactly $600, including my drink. We'll find out. I think I've got the 1080p 60. Like with this kind of spec, it shouldn't be a problem to run a 1080p 60. Like I would say that if anything, it'll be a little easy. Before I go too deep, how am I doing RGB here? Like, is this actually, how is this thing being powered? Because that's a big strip. Is that a barrel plug? Is that a barrel plug?
Wait, that thing's huge. Wait a minute.
I don't know that that's gonna fit inside my system. Wait, Santa, baby. Okay, wait, actually that works. So I need to install my CPU. This is an open box CPU, it has everything in it, right? I mean, it says complete, right? Complete as is. I'm complete as is. Yes, good. Okay, cool. We are in good shape. Lovely. Okay, cool. I got scared for a second. I was like, wait a minute. I keep just waiting for things to like trip me up today, but nothing's gonna trip me up. There's thermal paste on that, right? Because I didn't buy any thermal paste.
Maybe you shouldn't have spent your $2 on
There's thermal paste on it, right? I mean, how much do you really need thermal paste? Am I right? I'm gonna go find some Easter paste. Here, do you want to just finish up the build for a minute? I'll be right back. I'm just gonna go. I'm sure I'll be able to find some thermal paste. That's not a problem. How do I get it inside my budget? Because I literally spent every dollar I have. Damn. Okay, so, my best bet is $8 for some cryo fuse, which is roughly what I saved on getting an open box. Whoops. So, after spending $7.99 of my own money, not Micro Center's money, let us continue the build, shall we? All right, what are we working with? Okay, all right, what are we working with here? So CPU fan is on the bottom right, which is interesting. Are there any RGB headers? Any RGB headers?
I really don't think these.
It's probably not gonna have any RGB headers. No, it does not. Maybe, you know what? No, we actually don't need the RGB on the fans because there's gonna be so much RGB with the strip that you won't even be able to see the fans anymore. You just need your sunglasses to look at the PC. That's what we're gonna go with. Anyway, all right. Install our CPU. Very carefully as always. CPU installed. Let's use our shiny new thermal paste. I see why they give you a spatula. Dude, look at the crustiness. Okay, you know what? That's, it's stuck.
Are you?
Dude, it's stuck. Okay, we'll just push that off to the side. And let's cover that up so no one ever gets any B-roll shots of it. Cool. Oh, look, you wanna get some shots of it? Oh, it's too late. I'm already done. Oh, I need to take that off though, don't I? That'd be helpful.
Wait, the footage.
No, you can't see that. Stop that, stop it.
TMZ.
No. Okay, cool. I'm gonna tuck this around, and our CPU is ready to CPU. Next, let's grab ourselves some RAM and an SSD. Now we do have 16 gigs, which is not like a huge amount, but it's fine for a system like this. This is actually one of the reasons why I wanted to go with AM4, because you can get 16 gig kits of DDR4 pretty easily. For the most part, DDR5 actually usually comes in 32 gig kits, which is great if you want more RAM, which you probably do, but that really eats into a low budget like this. So I am perfectly happy to not do that. Hooray! I have successfully acquired my SSD. All right, this does have a toolless little mechanism, which is lovely. So I'll just pop it out here. Cool, that looks like an SSD. So we've got our CPU, our thermal paste, RAM, and SSD all ready to go. Let's go ahead and get this thing mounted into the case. And then comes the fun part. How many of our RGB and fans and bits and bobs are actually going to work? This is gonna be obnoxious. All right, it's already got something. Hit the button and see. Ooh.
Oh, wait, that looks for your cheap game.
Ayo, BIOS has been reset. We are in. All right, so we've got ourselves the Ryzen 5 5500, 16 gigs of RAM. We'll pop on XMP really quick. We do see our SSD and we see both fans running. So let me get Windows installing and then we will start janking up the RGB. But this is a functional system. We will be successful as long as you don't count the fact that I had to spend an extra $7 on thermal paste and that I spent a huge chunk of my budget on an RGB strip that's probably too much for this system. One slight snag we ran into is that once we got everything installed and running great and whatnot, I needed to download CS2, which is like 50 gigabytes or something. And unfortunately, with hundreds of computers on the network here, it said it was going to take 9 hours to download. So instead, we're gonna be running Time Spy, a benchmark, to show off that the PC works. Look, I forgot to load up CS2 on my drive, so we have to make do. So, have we been successful with our challenge today? Well, we have 3 criteria. Spend $600. I did that, plus $7, which yeah, my bad. Maybe if I didn't drink the Red Bull, we would have been a little closer, or I got an RGB strip that was not quite as long. So, not a great start. I think cool factor we're in pretty good shape for. I really like the aesthetic of this system. I mean, considering that this entire build, RGB and all, was less than, slightly above $600, I think it looks pretty nice. I mean, you can be the judge for yourself. We could have gone with a little bit more of a low-key sort of wood chassis, but then you would have seen literally nothing. It would have just been a generic chassis. And I think performance is pretty solid. You know, we've got that Ryzen 5 5500, which is not a new chip by any means, but still perfectly capable of some 1080p gaming. We've got ourselves the RX 6600, which also I would say is quite a good bang for the buck GPU for what, 220 bucks or something. And as you can see, we're playing a high quality benchmark at 50 FPS at 1440p, which if you extrapolate some numbers, that's pretty much 60 FPS at 1080p, right? So I think it's safe to say that we got 2.8 out of 3 correct. What do you think? Does it count? Did I pass? Come on, I was $7 over. That's like a large fry. Look at that high quality score. That's definitely a good score that everyone should be proud of. So if you'd like to learn anything more about this PC, I will have links in the description. You can also feel free to check out our wonderful sponsor, Micro Center, who of course have this brand new store in Santa Clara, California. So if you're in the Bay Area, definitely come by because there's an enormous selection of PC components. They have tons of deals. You've got 3D printing stuff, creator gear, Macs, I mean, you name it, Micro Center has it. Now, if you excuse me, we're gonna leave our little PC here. You know what, if you wanna come, you can see the PC. I'm sure they'll display it proudly right up front and not put it in the back and let it be sad. It'll be right here, waiting for you. Come say hello.